This is a first for me where I bring back an artist that I've talked to already. And this one is extra special. He holds a super special place in my heart because he was the first episode of season 1. I'm talking about James Smith of Good Blood. I screwed up the name of where you live last time, but I'm going to try to get it right this time. If I can. Werfield.
Murfield.
No. There you go.
Murfield.
Got it wrong again.
It's all right. You're not the first and you won't be the last.
And I remember you telling me it's named after where it was built on a bog or an old bog. Is that correct?
Yeah, probably. I can't remember what I said last time. Yeah, maybe I made that up, but yeah, Mur is
So
an
you're
old
coming
word
in
for nothing.
from it's northern UK, right? I guess
North of
northern
England.
England
Yeah,
area.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Not far from Leeds,
cool.
Manchester, in kind of in between Leeds and Manchester. Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. Well, this is so special to have you back, James, joining me for like a part 2 of, I mean, I guess it's been about a year and a half or so.
Yeah, yeah.
And lots has gone on, right? January
Mhm.
2023, that's when we spoke for the first time.
Wow.
Now, since then, you've put out a bunch of singles, you've put out 2 new records.
Mhm.
Um, so musically, you've been not slowing down at all.
No, I don't really.
Your catalog expands and expands and expands.
Mhm.
Um, and I kind of wanted to talk just to start off is how has your music been going? Like, how has it been feeling the last year or so? Have new things seeped into your recording process, your songwriting process? You get new equipment, new guitars. Um,
Yeah.
can you give a little update about kind of like how what you've been doing music wise this last little while?
Well, I just never stop really writing and recording as much as I can, really. Any spare moment, we've got a busy family life, so any kind of spare moment that I've got, I tend to write and record. So yeah, in terms of like, I think every time, the idea of being an artist or working on music or being creative is that every time you get better. So you hope that from a personal point of view, not from an external point of view, but from an internal point of view, you want to
Mhm.
keep, um, improving your chops and getting better at writing, getting better at lyric writing, getting more interesting, chordal structures, which doesn't necessarily mean more complex. It could mean really simple. It doesn't have to be
Mhm.
avant-garde jazz. It can be simple chords, simple words, but with meaning. And I think that's something that I've got better with just with age, really. Just sort of letting it flow and not worrying too much. There's a lot of automatic writing. There's a lot of, just streams of consciousness. Um, that sort of come out of nowhere, which sounds really pretentious, but it isn't meant to be. It's just that
Mhm.
that's what I've got better at is just being able to just let it flow and just get out whatever's in there. And I couldn't see how I could live my life without writing songs. It's
Mhm.
my diaries, they're my feelings and thoughts. And
Right.
stuff that I don't even know that I'm thinking about. The subconscious takes over, I guess. So yeah,
Mhm.
in terms of songwriting, you always want to get better, else you give up, right? So you might, if you, as long as you feel that you're improving, then you keep going. And then yeah, trying to just think of almost stripping back a little bit is something that I'm trying to do at the moment. And I know that my songs have been quite soupy and quite heavy and layered. And I just sort of an artist just throw paint at the wall and what sticks, sticks. But
Mhm.
I'm trying to, part of some of this album's, the one that's just recently come out is probably the last of that ilk where there are a lot of layers on. I'm hoping that, in the future you'll start to more of my voice will be front and center. Hopefully, we'll
Right.
see how we get
Right.
on though.
Right. Right. And that record that just came out, Forever Scars, I know that you had some pretty traumatic experience, like since we talked as well. And
Yeah.
was this record a part of dealing with those events that had taken place in your, like, in the last year or
Yes.
so, eh?
Yeah. So yeah, we unfortunately our little baby girl Poppy passed away. She was born in December 23 and lived just for a couple of days. She had heart
Mm,
problems, which we knew about before she was born. So not that that made it any easier, but we had it was quite a traumatic pregnancy as well, with a lot of scans and a lot of appointments that we had to attend. And nobody was really sure how she would be when she was born. It was very much we'll see how she is when she was born. And unfortunately, her little heart couldn't wasn't fit enough
mm,
to withstand living. So unfortunately, yeah, she passed away. So this album, the album that's just come out, Forever Scars, is kind of I'd written I'd written all of it before Poppy was born, and
mm,
while my wife was pregnant,
mm,
and recorded most of it. To be honest, it was pretty much there. The idea was like I'll get as much of it as I can done before Poppy's born, or out the baby. At that time, we didn't know she was going to be called Poppy, but because I knew even if everything was reason, every her heart was okay, we knew that we were going to be in for a long slog of treatment, and she was
yeah,
going to have to stay in hospital for a long time. So
mm,
yeah, it was kind of like I'll get as much as I can done before that, and then obviously the universe decided that isn't going to happen. So
mm,
I had downtime. I was off work, on bereavement leave, etc. Not in a good place at all.
yeah,
Obviously, very traumatic experience
mhm,
and really sad and heartbroken, etc. So um, the default in those situations for me is to write and to but I'd kind of got most of these songs pretty much there,
mm,
and it was a fact of once I felt capable and in the right headspace, it was a case of dusting them off a little bit and seeing how they sat with me. And I think because they kind of straddled that period, I think there was a lot of prophesizing going on that I wouldn't have known until
mm,
I came back to them in February, whenever it was.
right,
Um, and yeah, I
yeah,
felt like I had a duty to sort of finish these off
mm,
and get them out really. And
right,
like you were saying about the volume of releases and stuff, I don't like sitting on things. I like to, again, it's just write it, record it, make it sound as good
mhm,
as I can, and put it out and move on, and let's see what's coming next. So
right,
yeah,
right,
it's been tough, but the music and the songwriting, as always, is something that I fall back on, and it helps me
yeah,
get through.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, my big condolences to James. I remember we touched base, I don't know, a while ago,
Hmm.
and you had told me about what had happened, and
Yeah.
I really just was in shock. And I mean, we met recently, but I just felt so attached to you and so felt sorry and a lot of pain for you. I know that it
Thanks,
must
Chris. I
have been a
appreciate that.
very, very difficult time. But, with that in mind, I went back and I did a deep dive into Forever Scars. And
Mhm.
I do think this prophecy of is in there, embedded in there. And one of the things I noticed in particular, maybe you can expand on this, is your amazing connection back to nature, and that
Mm.
nature is wild and does wild things to us, and we kind of ride that wave kind of, and it's very insecure and sometimes very scary, but it is all around us and it's a part of our existence. um and I found that those connections to nature, and even the cover album where you have those pods,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
looks very dead, but inside those little pods is life, that will
yeah.
grow eventually, even
I,
amongst all this tangle and debris. So I just felt this. I didn't know though, James, that this was written before. I thought a lot of this was written after the fact. So
mm,
when you said prophecy, it really like just, oh yeah, wait a minute. I see this now. How
yeah.
did it, does that make sense to you? My description of what I was getting from your record?
The point about the artwork is amazing because that's exactly, yeah, it's just a garden on our road which was a little bit overgrown, and there were these weird like pod, seed pods thing where I don't even know what plant it is, to be honest. But yeah, no, that was exactly the sentiment that, life is all about death and life and rebirth, and there's and yeah, nature does play a part. Nature, I don't consciously think about nature, but I think it's more sort of the grounding in, where I live, a little northern town in England, surround in a valley surrounded by countryside. You know, it just seeps its way into it,
Right.
and yeah, little. I think also just recording in a house with children and etc. It just bleeds into, you'll hear at the end of tracks or whatever, you'll hear the odd kid scream or, noise. And some of the songs that's been quite, in the past, I've kept that. And even some of the songs I've released in the past, the kids have sung on and stuff. So yeah, I think it's perhaps more just my personality and my heart and soul being on there, which does then mean that they do sound grounded,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're in nature or whatever. But no, I'm really pleased that you picked that up about because that was kind of the point. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it looks pretty ugly, but inside those little red things, life carries on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I could go through each of your records and pull out again more of those comparisons because I
Oh,
think
I'd
that
love
it
to hear
is
more. Yeah.
pervasive throughout.
Mm.
But sometimes you have the technology kind of trying to infringe on the natural parts of the world and that struggle
Yeah.
between the two.
Yeah.
But I'd like to ask James, like once Poppy had left, what space were you in for writing? Like, was it hard to reflect on those memories and like, or did it help? Was it cathartic a bit and kind of helped with the grieving process for you?
It definitely helped with the grieving process.
Mm-hmm.
We were all, we were all devastated, and
Mm-hmm.
um, it was such a short time that Poppy was here, but you kind of got to just take um what you can out of it. And even though she was only here for a short period of time, she had such a massive effect on so many people, the nurses, doctors who cared for her, our, the four boys that we've got, us obviously, but her impact carries on, and taking comfort in that and taking comfort in writing about Poppy, not
Mm-hmm.
it's not explicitly, but certainly in stuff that I'm working on now. I want to tell the story. I don't want to not talk about it in my songwriting. I want that to be in there because that's part of who I am, right? I kind of with both my all of us, but the way I describe it is that I was broken into a thousand pieces and I had to put myself back together again, and there was a pre-Poppy James and there's a post-Poppy James, and hopefully Poppy's legacy is that I've grown and become a better person, and a better artist and a better human and a better dad, or all that stuff. But and that's her
Yeah.
legacy. And but yeah, it was
So,
tough, and it took a lot of courage to listen to these songs that are on this album, because I'd, like I said,
right,
predominantly worked on them before. But
right.
once I'd listened through and thought, wow, there's messages in here that I was obviously trying to talk about and get out even before
Mm-hmm.
I knew what the future lied ahead. So
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And after like, or is there any songs that you've written recently that you have a hard time facing that you had to get out, but then you needed just to get them out and you didn't want to do more with them? Did you have any of your songs that had that feeling to them where it was just more of for a personal um grief that you were going through and they're not intended for the world?
I think there were probably earlier versions of the songs that I'm working on at the moment. So yeah, there's about 9 or 10 songs that I'm working on at the moment, and they were very much um, raw
Mhm.
forms, um, and not that I'm not the kind of person who would then go back and rewrite stuff, but there's been, maybe just sort of changing things here and there. But there is also that, like I say, that automatic writing style that if it's coming out, it's coming out and it's going on the page. And I try not to fiddle with it too much because I'd just never finish anything because you just, but also yeah, it's just I feel like why if it's coming out so
Mhm.
easily, why mess with it? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's so some of the stuff might be, there is a song, and I played a gig in March time where I'd kind of written a few of these songs that I'm working on at the moment, and there was
Mhm.
the one called it's called Little Sparrow, and yeah, it was I played that one live, and at the end of this little gig that I did in a place called Slit, well, it's Slowit, but it's Slithway, which is near Huddersfield, not far from where I live. And
Yeah.
yeah, there wasn't a dry out eye in the house really. It was a very emotional, and I was, I managed to get through it, but I was sort of in tears while I was singing it. But again, that was really hard to do, and actually being so vulnerable. I look back now and think, God, you know, it was a very vulnerable place to put myself. But again,
Hmm.
out of the reason of, because I'm not a massive lover of playing live shows. I don't like it, and I just really struggle with the stress and nerves. I'm not a good enough musician to sort of play live. So, but I forced myself to do it because I thought that's, what these songs need to be sung to
Yeah.
people, and it's all part of post poppy, and it's all part of the new James. So let's have a go. And I'm so glad I did it because then that informed that more because it was just me and acoustic guitar and it went down really well and lots of people gave me lots of really nice compliments. So that kind of spurred me on to think about, well, okay, let's think about stripping stuff back and being more of me and showing more of me as well, rather than having,
Yeah.
17 vocal tracks on a song, or, because it's always been trying to cover over or trying to make it sound not like me, but and I don't know where that comes from. It's a confidence
Mm.
thing, I guess. Maybe it's a confidence
Yeah.
thing, but I feel like I am getting more confident and more comfortable in my own skin to be myself and to sound like myself.
Yeah. Well, I remember we talked a lot the last time, and it was a song I put at the end of the podcast, Johnny Was an Ocean Child. And we
Oh
talked
yeah.
about that, the layers and layers of vocals. And I
Mhm.
mean, it sounds like a huge ensemble that you assembled to, you know. So I hear what you're saying about, and one thing I noticed about listening to Forever Scars is exactly what you're saying, is that it feels like you've pushed the instrumentation aside more and
A
you're
little bit.
there.
Yeah.
Um, and I've really enjoyed that. I feel you through these songs. And I think people, even if they might not know you, there's so many good parts and moments in each of the songs that delivers us James Smith
Yeah.
in such a
Oh,
great way. So
no, thank you.
I
I appreciate
I've
that.
been really, really enjoying the record a lot. And I'm really glad that you went in and played live. I asked this musician a couple of days ago, like, where do you get the bravery to do that? Because you're alone, you have your guitar in front of you and a mic, lights on you, people
Hmm.
staring at you, and you're about to reveal your diary notes or your
Hmm.
journal notes.
Hmm.
Like, where do you get the bravery to be able to get to that stage saying, I'm going to do this? Like, most of us, humans out here in the world, would never do that. Like, what is it, James, that maybe not that one instance, because I can see that it was something that you were working through, but just in general as a musician. And I know you had mentioned that you don't like playing live, but you put yourself out there. Um, for the world to listen to. They don't know you. They could throw your songs on, listen to you. Um, like, where does that come from? That sense of I want to put myself out there for the world to listen to.
In terms of playing live, the bravery came from alcohol, which was a bad thing, and that's one of the reasons why I would have a couple of drinks for Dutch courage, which would then turn into five or six, and then I wouldn't play very well because I was, drunk or half drunk or whatever.
Right.
And so that was part of the element of, and I always feel more when I've played. It's not like I'm a prolific gigger or anything, but when I've played with other people, I always feel more comfortable when there are other people on stage with me. I think you're right. It's
Right.
that standing up there on your own with an acoustic guitar and singing and playing guitar is hard. So I think I have got war wounds from all my own silly behavior really, and that sort of lays heavily on me. But I guess and time, I've got a busy family life, and it takes a lot. And we were so just before COVID, I was rehearsing, and we were going to do a little tour, and then COVID hit, and that kind of kiboshed it all. But we were getting in really good shape. I had a little band, and I was really excited about it. So who knows in the future
Mm,
that might come round again. But
mm,
yeah, for me, just I would much rather than spend time rehearsing to play live, and I would much rather put that time and effort into writing and
right.
creating new songs. And
Right.
I don't feel like I've got the time, energy, or interest to do both.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
which isn't, that doesn't help. I guess my music career or whatever you want to call it, but I haven't got the capacity because I
Right.
want to write and I want to improve and I want to tell stories and I want to focus on that, and that's where my energy and my interest lies.
Right. I guess that's what success means for you as a musician, is that you have the capacity to keep writing and putting your music out there, and what comes of it, but that's your focus, is that process that you go
So
through of writing the songs.
success to me is you saying that you listen and you like it. That's to
Yeah.
me, people who tell me that they listen, not even if they like it, but just that they listen and they get something out of it. And it might just be one song, it might be half a song, it might be one lyric. But that's success to me, because it means people are connecting, and that's what music is about. It's about communion, it's about community, and it's about connection. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that to me is all. Yeah, success. Well, what does that even mean these days? Do you know what I mean? Success
Yeah.
is a weird word, but
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
take great pleasure in people telling me that they like what I do. So,
Right.
but
Right.
that wouldn't stop if
And
people, if everyone's telling me they hated it, I'd still carry on because
right. Right.
it's part of who I am, and
Right.
I'll do this till the day I die, hopefully, so
Right. Right.
it's
Right.
just, I have to do it.
That's amazing. Do you ever get writer's block, James? Like, it was a question I was thinking about as I was going through your records and singles, and like, has it ever come a time where you felt like empty, like you had nothing more to say?
It kind of comes in blocks. So when I'm working on, I tend not to write too much when I'm working on something. So I've always got a few songs on the go,
Hmm.
and I'll be recording them. They'll be in different stages, but
Okay.
it's not. I do have. No, I've never had writer's block, but I do have periods of creativity, bursts of creativity where I can sit down with a guitar for an hour, and a couple of songs will form, but not
Hmm.
fully formed. There will be the nebulous of, a couple of melodies will come or whatever, and then I'll
Hmm.
record them on my phone. And then what I tend to do is I'll listen to them in a little bit of refinery, but I won't start working out the structures and finishing the lyrics until I've started recording. So, because I don't, I feel like if, I've never really demoed the songs. That I guess my songs are more demo like because that's how I work. If I record something and capture it, I've tried in the past. I've done a version of and I'm working through some of that now in terms of re-recording some of my older songs to make them
Hmm.
sound a little bit different, but generally it's I can't recapture it and it always sounds rubbish. You've just and it might be that it's played really poorly, but it's just got something about it that you can't recreate. It's got a vibe
Right.
or an energy. So
Totally.
no, it's so
Yeah.
I'd kind of write on the fly really. It's like the plane's in the air and I'm writing as it's taking off.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
I'm working as I'm recording the songs, which to
Right.
me and that helps with time as well because I've only got half an hour to work on. I just need to just get on with it, crack on. Sorry, I keep knocking my
Right.
microphone. Keep get on with
Right.
it, and yeah, I don't have
I like
time
that
to.
technique though, James, that you always have a little bank of kind of started songs that
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if you're not inspired or something's coming to you, I'll just go dip
I'll
into
go
this
work on
little.
them, and that's kind of what this album
That's a
was.
great
Yeah,
idea.
because I wasn't in a good. It wasn't writer's block. I just was in a really bad place,
Right.
unhealthy place. So yeah, it was like, oh, I've got those songs. That'll give me a distraction. It was looking for a distraction really, and that's what
Right.
those songs gave me. So it wasn't, and then that led into being. I guess the more you write and the more you record, the kind of easier that it gets, I suppose. And I've been doing
Hmm.
this a long time, and I've been working in this
Hmm.
way where I've got half an hour. Right, I'll put a vocal track down. I've been doing that for pretty much the last 15 years. So I've got quite good at just just working on stuff really quickly
Yeah. Yeah.
because I've got to.
I wanted to ask you a gearhead question.
Oh,
What
okay.
what's your setup? Like what are your go-tos when you're so you said you put stuff on your phone just to kind of capture the
Yeah.
essence. What do you what's your setup that when you're ready to actually kind of put it down on tape, what do you use?
Well, the generally it's just I've got it behind me. It's just crap little Spanish guitar that I got from a local charity shop.
Yeah.
That I tend to do a lot of the writing on because I just enjoy playing that. Got a couple of guitars and stuff. I'm not a
Yeah.
massive gearhead at all myself. I like old Casio keyboards, so I've got a few around me now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then yeah, just I've got like a universal audio interface that has got some like 70s compressors on or emulations of 70s compressors. So I use that, but and I've got a drum kit in the garage, begged, stealed, and borrowed a drum kit, so it's all a bit old and knackered. That tends to be the extent of my gear, really. That it's all sort of
Yeah.
second hand and or hand me downs that that people don't want and stuff. But I'm not. I think again that's the kind of lo-fi vibe that I love in music, and that using older instruments or crappier shit just means that you get that vibe. You don't get the high
Absolutely.
fidelity of a big. I generally work in this little room that I've got here. I've got some monitors and but again, just to sort of I've stripped down quite a bit of it because I'm working in not a proper studio, but my friend Paul's got a little studio. So
Hmm.
I've been going down there because again, that's part of these songs that I've been writing recently. I want them to, well, I didn't want them to be like my songs at home, because again, I've not that I've struggled with collaboration, but I don't like I've never really enjoyed the thought of sitting down and playing something in front of somebody and them staring at me and then judging whether they're going to want to work on it or not. But so that's again pushing myself to get myself out of my comfort zone and go. And Paul's been
Yeah.
really supportive and really lovely about it. And he's really helping me take these tunes in a not a radical way, but just he's really almost forensic, and he's really helping me to actually think about that. Automatic writing is one side, but he's almost
Mm.
saying, well, what are you saying here and how can we support that and how
Mm.
does the instrument. And I would never think about
Mm.
that sort of stuff. It's just like, yeah, that sounds good, done,
That's cool.
and he's then going, well, are we done? Because actually, why don't we try? So I'm thinking, actually, so it's we're playing off each other. I think I've helped him. We were talking about this the other day. Like I've helped him relax a little. We kind of meeting in the middle, so he's very forensic, very um he's a brilliant musician, knows all the chords, knows all the
Mm.
technical terms. I know no chords. I don't know any notes. I can't tell you if it's a G, D, or E. So he's sort of like, we're meeting in the middle, and I
Yeah,
think it's a really nice.
that's
We've
cool.
got a really nice thing going because we bounce off each other, and I'll go, no, that's fine, and he'll be like, are you sure? And I'll be like, no, that's fine. Or I'll be like, well, what do you mean? So we're
Right.
taking these songs into a really nice place, I think,
That's cool.
which is really cool. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to finishing them and seeing
And
where they go, really.
what songs are the like did you go in your back catalog and kind of pull out some songs that you wanted to re-envision and then you brought them to Paul and you're kind of like doing a is it a bigger production? You're stripping things down? Like how will they sound different than their originals?
So one of the songs is Forever Scars, which is the main song on this album, but I just felt
Right?
like I'd not that song meant covers so much ground of the last sort of 12 months to me
Right.
personally. And I
Hmm.
just didn't think, looking back at, and it's easy to say in retrospect and hindsight, but I don't think I did that song justice on this record. And I wanted to redo it in a way that felt like it did the song justice. There's
Hmm.
another song that goes back a while ago called Flowers Bloom, which was on, oh God, I don't even know what album it was on, but it goes back a while. And that again, just the way that song kind of sums up what we went through with Poppy. So it talks about, flowers bloom in the waiting room, and it was just, so that was something again that I wanted to go back to and rework that because it holds a special place in my heart, but it was also again that prophecy side of things. I mean, it was written years and years ago, but
Right.
it could have been written the day after Poppy died, really.
Right.
So I
Hmm.
felt like those two are the two that we're reworking, and then there's like 7 or 8 new songs that I've written in sort of the last few months.
Cool.
But I feel that's a really, I don't think, I don't, it's the first time I've ever done that. And again, pushing myself to do things a bit differently, think outside the box or whatever, get out of my comfort zone. I think
Hmm.
in the past I'd have probably gone, "Oof, re-recording something I've done a long time ago, I'm not sure about." But
Hmm.
again, it's, there's no reason. And other artists do it, I was saying
Hmm.
earlier, Bonnie Prince Billy does it a lot, Will
Hmm.
Oldham, where he'll take, he re-records. Because to me, and, I've heard him say this sort of stuff that, a song is never finished. And why you've written it, so why can't you go back? It's like redecorating your house, you're just always on it, aren't you? And why can't songs be different to that? So, and reflecting on that, it's like, well, yeah, you're right, actually, and it's my song, and if I want to re-record it, I'll re-record it. Thank you very much. You know what I mean? Yeah, and hopefully you improve it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Did
but in
you
terms of,
yeah,
go
go
on.
aheed.
I was just going to say, in
I
terms
just
of the
wanted to ask
production,
about the Forever Scars, like the first, the latest record version, the one that you guys have been collaborating on. Like, what are the biggest differences that you notice
yeah. So
going through those?
the production is, I wouldn't say more scaled back. It's more just me, and in terms of the core element. So it's an acoustic guitar and just my vocal with some harmonies. There's no,
Mm,
I mean, there are multi-layered vocals, but it's not as wild as some of the stuff I've done in the past. And then it's just been really, really complementary to the meaning of the song. And
mm,
this is what Paul's bringing to it. I would, like I said earlier, just throw paint at the wall and whatever sticks. But he's been really, and I can't think of the word I'm trying to say, but really um, thoughtful about, well, if we're putting bass on this song, well, what should the bass sound
right,
like, and how,
right.
where's it going? Where does it support the melody? Where does it support the? And you've got this line here that seems to be quite central in the song. So what can we do in the instrumentation to
Mm,
support that? Rather than just playing the same thing over the top, let's think about how we give that space. And I guess that's kind of what he's bringing to the table, is like, let's let the songs breathe and let's find space in them. Um,
Right.
and some of that is I'll do like the acoustic guitar here and vocals here, and then take it down to the studio, and then we'll listen to it, and we'll kind of just peel some of those layers away, um, and then then start embellishing it. So it's working really nicely. But yeah,
That's
fundamentally, it's about what being sort of scientific about it and thinking like,
yeah,
what does the
yeah,
song need for it to and that's a different way for me to work. I'm very much like I say, just done it. Sounds all right. Yeah, done. Move on. But this is about
next.
actually really thinking. Yeah, next.
Right.
But this is really
Sounds like
thinking.
he is a very thoughtful, asking the right questions so that
Yeah,
you're reflecting a bit more as well as to, because I guess that
and it's
process can
impact.
be speedy when you're producing so much and so
Yeah,
much is coming out, to slow it and just ask key questions about what were you meaning inside this question? Like, why did
yeah.
you add that? So that you can start to see like, oh yeah. Um, I mean, I'm sure that this will pay dividends on your next record and the
I
next one.
think it
Like,
will. Is the
just
way
that
that
reflective quality to it. Yeah.
yeah, the way we talk about writing, and he's got his own thoughts about lyrics, and you know, and yeah, he's a genius, really. But he is a genius.
Yeah.
He's not a genius, really. He is a genius, and such a nice guy about it. And yeah, he put, we he pushes, which I kind of have never, in a nice way though, not in a knobhead way. So it's really nice. It's working really, really well. So we'll see.
Nice.
Hopefully the songs
Well, I'm super
will
excited.
get
That
dividends.
that record that you're gonna put out soonish. Like, what's the ETA for that record? Is it
No
still
rush, no rush.
right?
Just
Right.
keep, yeah, it's very much. So we
You're
both
taking
work.
your
So
time and making it
yeah,
so it feels right for the both of you. And
yeah, and we can only sort of go down certain times during the week. So it's very much,
right,
we're hoping to have all the tracking done by the end of the month, and then there'll be a bit of mixing and stuff. But yeah, there's no rush. Probably it'll be done by the end of the year, hopefully, and then yeah, see what happens next year. So
yeah,
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 we're fortunately expecting another baby in February. So
yeah.
we will that it all needs to be kind of done and dusted by then, and then
Right.
yeah, we'll see. So it'll be 2025 at some point. I
Amazing.
would imagine, yeah, probably late 25. I would imagine.
Cool. Well, I'll post it on the blog for sure. That's a
Oh,
guarantee.
thank you, mate. Cheers.
Well, James, this has been like really amazing again. We're gonna have to do this again because there's just so much more to talk about.
Yeah.
But I wish you all the best. I wish you and your family all the best. And again, my condolences, but also my congratulations on the next. I
Oh,
wish you all the best, your wife all the best, over this pregnancy and these phases that you're going through. It's a real pleasure to talk with you. You're a real kindred spirit, and I just love what you do. So I will never stop following, and you never stop writing.
oh, thank you, Chris. I really appreciate that. And yeah, no, the same, definite kindred spirits. And yeah, anytime you want to talk to me, I'm more than happy to. So thank you so much, and thank you so much for your support. Not just of my stuff, but the Foxwood Records label stuff that we've put out over the years as well.
Yeah,
It's
love
amazing,
it.
and that's the connections that music makes across oceans and around the world is amazing. So long may it continue.
Absolutely. Well, kind of bringing us back to where we started is that's why you're doing this stuff, right? For those
Yeah,
connections, and you're
absolutely.
definitely doing it because look at us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much,
All right.
Chris.
Well, you take care, brother, and we'll talk soon.
You too. Take care. See you later. Bye.
Cheers.
It's